Hey guys, it's me Mr. 250 and welcome back to Higurashi. So we finished the first chapter, our dreadfully scary school adventure, and we're going to continue. Less sick, so hopefully less annoying narration voice. I took it a little too easy on the morning of my day off. I was totally late. Today was the day Rena and Mion were going to show me around Hinamizawa. Rena and Mion were already waiting at the meeting place.
姉ちゃん遅いぞ。
悪い。責めるのは昨夜の面白かった特番に行ってくれ。
女の子との待ち合わせに遅刻して言い訳がそれってわけ？
みーちゃんだって今来たばかりなんだよ。
昨夜の密着24時間面白かったし、ねえ。
She was just as guilty as me. Rena was carrying a pretty heavy-looking handbag. What is that? Mion answered my unspoken question with a wink. That's right. Rena really did make a picnic.
ケイちゃん、あの後レナ大張り切りだったらしいよ。
別に俺がけしかけたわけじゃないだろう。
そんな大変じゃなかったから気にしないでよね。
昨べから今朝まであのテンションらしいよ。責任取れんの？
わかった。俺も男だ。責任は取る。
責任ってなんだろう。
As we both turned around slowly to look at Rena, our gazes drifted downward to the massive handbag she was carrying. It didn't seem logically feasible that it would be entirely filled with lunchboxes. Except this was Rena we were talking about here.
2キロくらいかな。
レナね、荷物持つときよっこらしょって言ってた。5キロ。
それはオーバー。ケイチくん男の子だからきっといっぱい食べるだろうと思ってたくさんね。もう行こう。よっこらよっこ。
Just from the way she was lifting it up, I couldn't believe the only things in there were lunchboxes.
訂正。俺も5キロ。
手伝いはするけど全部食べるんだからね。レナを悲しませたら許さないよ。
The only thing I could do at that moment was exercise a bit to make myself hungrier. Having finished with the pleasantries, we began our leisurely stroll. A carefree walk bathed in the gentle morning sunlight. I couldn't have even imagined something so wholesome existed during my time in the city. These were the boonies, after all. No slovenly desk jockeys trudging to work on the weekends out here. It really was a nice place, peaceful and quiet. As sparsely populated as the village was, you could still run into people just by walking around.
あ、こんにちは。
こんにちは。あら、そちらは。確か前原くんだったかしら。
My two companions exchanged greetings with everyone we ran across. All of these passerby even knew my name.
なんで俺ってこんなに有名人なんだ？
We passed 3 people, and when all of them knew me, I started to feel a bit paranoid.
悲しいかな。hinamizawaは人が少ないからね。みんな顔見知りなんだよね。
つまりなんだ？知らない顔が歩いてれば、それは自動的に新しく引っ越してきた前原さんってことになるわけか。
そういうことになるね。
It was a process of elimination that you could only pull off in a place like this. but it was quite effective. From now on, I'd better make sure to maintain a good reputation. The day I'm discovered accidentally gawking at a dirty magazine in the bookstore, I can expect all the villagers labeling me as a lech by the next day. Hinamizawa is not to be trifled with. That's not the end of this nightmare.
もちろんわかるよ。最初に会ったのが牧野林店の竹蔵おじさん。趣味は盆栽と尺八なんだよ。
次が乾物屋の次男の大輔くん。趣味は狙撃で、将来の夢は超 A 級スナイパーだとか。それで今の人は入江診療所の看護師の美代さん。趣味は野鳥の観察と撮影だって。
すれ違った全員の名前までわかるのかよ。プロフィールまで。
Seeing my surprise, Mion and Rena exchanged looks and burst into laughter.
まあね。ここいらは都会みたいにご近所付き合いが希薄じゃないからね。
試しに聞いてみよう。今ここにいる俺は誰だ？
前原圭一くん。意地悪なこと言うけど、本当は優しいテレ屋さん。
転校してきてようやく3週間。趣味は昼寝。最近トランクス派に転校したよね。
もういいもういい。
トランクス。
Torankuso!
それもいい。
Apparently there's absolutely nothing you can keep hidden here. Hinamizawa was not a place to be trifled with.
これじゃあさ、俺のための案内ってより俺のお披露目みたいだな。
そうだね。うちらさ、これだけ賑やかに練り歩いてたからね。みんな思うんじゃない？ケイちゃんもひなみざわに馴染んでくれたんだって。
ひなみざわは過疎だから、村中みんなが新しい仲間を歓迎してくれてるの。
I thought about brushing it off with something to the effect of, "You're kidding me." But I held back. Had I ever greeted someone who just moved into the city like this before? Thinking about that made me believe what they were saying wasn't a joke at all. We passed another person. Of course, we were called out again, the same way.
あら、こんにちは。仲良しそうでいいわね。
藤島さんちのおばさんだよ。こんにちは。
あら、前原くん、両手に花でいいわね。どう？生活はもう慣れた？
Instead of regurgitating a prepared response like I would have in the city, I responded with an empathetic nod. The old woman chuckled, voicing her appreciation of how energetic I was.
グッド。
As I looked back over to Rena and Mion, they gave me a wink.
でね、そろそろお昼にしないかな。
Rena's brilliant smile signaled the approach of an event that both Mion and I were trying to forget. We both looked at each other.
俺も男だ。努力はする。だが量が多すぎる。
よし、ケイちゃん。ここはおじさんに任せなさい。
Mion has never seemed as reliable as she does right now. I'd expect no less from the class representative.
レナ、どうせ食べるならさ、見晴らしのいいところで食べない？
それいい。賛成。
Rena nodded her head happily in response to Mion's proposal. Cresting the top of a stone stairway, a shrine drawn straight out of my imagination appeared before us. It had worn down a bit through the years, but the fallen leaves had been swept up, giving it a tidy feeling.
ここはね、古出神社っていうの。多分見晴らしが一番いいところかな。
ここの場所、よく覚えといてね。 もうすぐここでお祭りがあるんだから。
へえ、祭りにしちゃちょっと早いシーズンだよな。
綿流しは夏祭りじゃなくてね、昔は冬の終わりを喜ぶお祭りだったらしいよ。
I was embarrassed for assuming that festivals had to be held in the summer.
さて、弁当を広げてっと。
Yeah, this picture right here, can I don't know if I can, but anyway, this background picture right here, if you look online, somebody had, who had mentioned, I mentioned it before, that this town was based off of a real town. You look at the picture, it looks almost exactly the same. I mean, there's obviously little, things that are changed here and there, but the main road going through the town and, like, the shape of the valley is, like, pretty much exactly the same. It's pretty striking. Various colored lunchboxes were placed one after the other on top of the plastic sheet. It sure did smell delicious. It was Rena's home cooking. It went without saying that it would be delicious. But is it even possible to finish all of this? Hey, Mion, it'll take more than just a good view to get all this down, you know?
こんにちはです。
Oh, right, I remember this part. Now I do. It was Rika-chan and Satoko. Why are they here? Mion grinned over at me. I see. This was her secret plan. To power in numbers. You have my thanks, Mion. Following up when all the pieces are in place is my specialty.
騒がしいから来てみれば、これは何ですの？
見りゃわかるだろ。これからランチタイムだ。ビュッフェスタイルだ。レラの手作り弁当に舌鼓だ。
そんなの見ればわかるでございますわ。どうして人様の庭でご座なんか広げてますの？
神社は公共の場所だぞ。勝手に独占するな。
圭一の言う通りですよ。みんなのお庭にしますです。
くー、やっぱりリカちゃんはいい子だな。座りな、そこ。一緒に食べよう。
After opening up a spot for Rika-chan, I promptly turned my back on Satoko.
ちょっとお待ちなさいな。私はどこに座ればいいんですの？
お前に座る場所はないし、食べる分もない。
大丈夫だよ。さとこちゃんの分もちゃんとあるから。
ない。さとこの分も俺がいただく。
そんなことは許せませんの。リカ。はい、お箸です。
Both Satoko and I leapt at the boxes, having it out with each other.
いやはや、ケイちゃん乗せるのうまいわ、ほんと。
Yeah, I remember this scene. With them fighting over food or something.
才能あるのかもしれない。
はい、お皿。みーちゃんも、リカちゃんも。
Rena whipped out pairs of chopsticks and paper plates.
僕たちも頑張らないとなくなってしまうです。
そうだね。よし、参戦と行くかな。
いっぱい食べてね。ちゃんとみんなの分あるから。
Rena said as she opened up a thermos. Just then, I realized that this lunch was made under the assumption that 5 people would be eating. It didn't change how much there was, but the implication behind it was different.
そのハンバーグは渡しませんわ。
いや、肘は反則だろう、さとこ。
This is an amazing CG, by the way.
襟首をつかむのも反則でございます。
It was a tough battle, blocking with her full momentum and an elbow in the opening moves. Satoko appeared to have the upper hand, but the difference in our proficiency with chopsticks proved to be fatal and gave me the upper hand.
最後のミートボール。
ミートボール？
校長さとこ、破れたり
Satoko and I amiably began choking at the same time, falling backwards and spasming. Rika-chan patted me on the head to clear it, even though it was actually stuck in my throat. Seeing that made Rena blush, and breathe heavily in excitement. It was almost like flowers were floating all around her. Mion advised Rena to refrain from saying anything that could get her locked up. This is how our meals usually go. I'd do anything in my power, just so things could stay like this. That's like an oddly suspicious, dark statement. I'd do anything to keep this happy day happening. The intense battle calmed, and finally everyone reached a point where they could begin talking. Receiving tea from the thermos, I let out a small sigh.
日本語ってやつはさ、どうしてこう味に対する賛辞が少ないんだろうな。
食事中の団らんって考えがそもそも近代に入ってからだからじゃない？
昔の人は無言で食事を済ませたそうだし、作る人もちょっぴり寂しかったろうね。きっと昔の人は食べるのに忙しくて味を褒める暇もなかったのですわ。
That's just you.
でもね、美味しいの一言だけでも嬉しいよ。苦労の甲斐があったかなって。
She blushed a little as she said that.
美味しいです。
With absolutely perfect timing, Rika-chan struck Rena directly with praise. She looked straight at her with an expression of bewitching innocence.
Huh?
After Rena uttered an unintelligible noise, a ring of smoke rose from her head with an audible poof.
リカちゃん、お持ち帰りじゃなくて、ありがとう。本当に美味しかったですよ。
Run far away, Rika. Rena flushed red with excitement, embracing Rika-chan and rubbing her cheek against her so hard you could almost hear it.
リカちゃんには褒めてもらったお礼に、じゃーん、これをサービスね。
Two apple rabbits. After sticking toothpicks into them, she thrust them towards Rika-chan. After Rika-chan accepted them, the mood suddenly shifted in a bizarre way.
なんだよ、サトコ。その挑戦的な目は。
皆さんにはレナさんのリンゴを獲得できるだけの賛辞が用意できまして。
強気じゃんよ。ボキャ品のあんたにどんな賛辞が思いつくっての？
では、ご覧あそばせ。
After Satoko flashed Mion and me a defiant look, she changed the tone of her voice suddenly.
エレナお姉ちゃんのお弁当、サトコも美味しかったよ。
Satoko looked up at her poutily while talking cutesy. What? How is that praise? It's not even persuasion by tears. That's persuasion by cuteness, isn't it? This is a Rena limited special skill. She blushed and her head spun, waving around in circles. Don't fall for it, Rena! Of course, that was asking for the impossible. Rena gloved Satoko and began rubbing her cheek against her.
かいかい、サトコちゃんもかいよ。お持ち帰り、はう。
Swish! Stab! Push! Satoko was also presented with apple rabbits. After stuffing them into her mouth, she looked over at Mion and me again with that defiant gaze. It took only 5 seconds to take down Rena. That's unfair!
悔しければ、レナさんにご褒美がもらえるような賛辞をお考え遊ばせ。
Dang it! That was a dirty trick! First of all, that wasn't even praise.
さとこ、それで勝てたつもりとはね。あんたらの底の浅い技とはわけが違うものを見せてあげようじゃない。
それは頼もしいぜミオ。それはどんな技なんだ？
やるのはケイちゃん。
はあ？
見せてもらおうではございませんか。豊島のあがきを。
The plan of attack she suggested was wicked, but it was the only thing we had to beat Satoko. After sipping my tea, I started talking very naturally and calmly. Perfectly.
本当に美味しいよな。これってさ、全部手作りなのかい？
実はね、これほとんど冷凍物なの。
じゃあレナの手作りのってどれだい？
恥ずかしいな。教えなきゃダメ？どうしても？
From the synergy of boy plus handmade lunchbox, her expression had melted into euphoria.
わかるよ。これでしょ。
Rina turned an even deeper shade of red. The words, "I can't believe it," practically written on her face.
なんでわかるかな？レナの手作り。
Of course, Miana told me beforehand. It's been perfect so far. After acting like I was shy, I waited a beat. Next would be the finisher.
レナの匂いがしたから。
Oh! Silence enveloped the area. Rina, face still completely red, froze solid. With a small yelp, Satoko also blushed. Of course, I did too.
レナの手作りのリンゴのウサギさんが食べたいな、なんて。
Even if this was all because I was competing against Satoko, I felt like I'd crossed the line by a good 9 yards, I think. Then at that moment, whoosh! It was a Tupperware container filled with rabbits.
食べてね、ケイチ君。いっぱいあるんだよ。
What? Suddenly, dozens of the apples were shoved into my mouth, knocking me over. Dozens? How many apples are in there? My head was forcibly laid upon her lap, and even more apples were shoved into my mouth. While she was squealing, one apple after another was forced into my mouth. More and more apples. What? How about them apples, Satoko?
ケイちゃん、殉職見事なり。どうよ、さとこ。うちらの完全勝利だね。
こんな手信じられないですの。悔しくないもん。
Satoko ground her teeth, mortified. We did it! I claimed victory as my consciousness drifted slowly away from me. At that time, Rina stopped squealing as she suddenly realized something.
リカちゃん、食べないの？塩水強すぎたかな？
Looking over, Rika-chan had pulled the toothpick out of the apple rabbit, placed it into her cupped hands, and seemed to be at a loss for what to do.
うさぎさんがかわいそうです。助けてあげてほしいです。
Pui? That was the sound of blood spurting from Rina's nose.
かいよ。今夜こそ絶対本持ち帰り。
She shook sporadically, her head wobbling back and forth. Then, coming back to her senses, she took all of the apples around me, gathered them up with a flip, and fixed them back up on a plate.
これでみんな寂しくないよね。これリカちゃんにあげるね。
Rika-chan raised up Satoku's hand like a referee. After having that plate of rabbit shoved to her, she whispered,
僕たちが勝ちましたです。逆転負け。
Okay, thus, my sacrifice ended up being in vain. And everyone ate apples. And there were no doctors that day.